Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at a collection of antique baseball gloves known as the 1-inch webbing, the 1-inch webbers. These typically date from around 1915, a little earlier and a little later. I don't have as many 1-inch webs as full webs because I'm always trying to find the oldest glove or artifact possible. But I do collect, and I like 1-inch webs, 1-inch webbing gloves. This was the webbing, like my house, for example, is a Sears built house from 1915. So this would have been the glove that was used in my front yard to have a catch when this house was built. So I like that landmark in time, for me personally. These gloves, in my opinion, are like the odd man out of the design of baseball gloves. And I mean, just because of just the nature of, the way it looks. You went prior, before this design, you had a full web, which is just like this. A full webbing that goes pretty much all the way down to the thumb. The 1-inch or 1.5-inch webs came later. So like that, this glove, for example, could be from like 1900 to 1910. And this glove could be, 1915, maybe a hair earlier or a hair later. But I find these to be the odd man out as far as just the way that they look, so kind of quirky, because the earlier designs, the full web, you would think would have more usability and playability and, trap that ball better than this. And there's no definitive answer as far as why it evolved from a full web, in the early 1900s to the 1-inch web around 1915. But some of the articles I've read talked about just how player positions were refined and were evolving. The roles of the players on a team within the infield and outfield. So their gloves reflected that. And one possible idea or theory is, initially the first gloves looked like this, right? Workman's gloves. This is just an old yard glove, but just a glove to deaden the pain of the ball hitting your palm. That was it. It wasn't meant to catch it. It was just meant to like protect your hand, because guys were getting injured more and more due to the speed of pitching and throwing and all that. And then and then it evolved the full web, and then gloves started to be looked at not just a protective piece for your hand, but also a way to catch the ball easier. A way to maximize your effectiveness as a infielder or outfielder, and the gloves reflected that. So apparently the idea is this gave you more control getting rid of the ball. You have to to make a quick play. You weren't hindered by the full web, which again looks like this, a full webbing. It's not a huge difference, but enough for it to make and it wasn't an overnight, cut and dry change. It was, an evolution. It could have, like the fielding ideas changed. But I still find it just odd because, let me show you another one like this one I just got. This is a full web. Now, it's almost like, contemporary baseball gloves. They all have full webs. This was just a kind of a quirk in time, because there's no modern glove that have like a gaping hole like that. It's always, like this, stitching and lacing, various kinds. And there's no, all gloves today are full webbed. That, you know what I mean? Like, this is probably mid-century, but all gloves are full webbed. There's no just top a lace or band of leather in any kind of contemporary glove I've ever seen used by a professional or amateur. So I always find the 1 inches, they just stick out because they have that sunlight coming through right there. These are still, now the nomenclature on these gloves, you know, is split finger because there's no lacing. 1 inch webs. I mean, there's a few, you know, old timers probably call them something different, just gloves. You know what I mean? But collectors and dealers call them, you know, various, you know, this, you know, 1 inch web. That's the most, you know, get to the point name, in my opinion. That could be a Google search, eBay search, 1 inch webbing. So let's talk about what this glove actually is. This glove, I think I got on eBay maybe 4 years ago, and this is an unmarked maker. I've never ever been able to decipher a maker on this, which is another whole topic or point. There's no database, you know, of these unmarked makers. They could have been shoemakers. I mean, who knows? I mean, they could have made actual winter gloves for people and then just added, you know, a flap to make it a baseball glove, which in some cases the companies did do that. That we'll talk about in a minute. But there's no way to, I mean, there's no way to decipher who made this. It's this, I got this is cheap. I mean, I think it was under $30. Now you talk about also, well, the size of gloves. Back then, grown men used smaller gloves. If you see photos of like all the greats, I mean, like, you know, Cy Young, Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, anyone back then, they were using these gloves that fit in their back pocket. I mean, so come on, how big? I mean, this could be an adult. I go back and forth with this glove because I think, oh, this is juvenile size or young adult. You know, 8, you know, 7 through 12, or, you know, 5 through 10. No, probably not 5. This would probably be like, you know, young adult, 8 through 12. Or it could be an adults, because you look at those old photos. I'm like, man, look how small they wear them on their belts. I mean, this fits on my hand. I mean, this is the size of like a legitimate adult work glove, but you always think, oh, baseball gloves are oversized. Well, that's not necessarily true. So I'm always going back and forth with this particular glove. Is it adult? Is it a juvenile? Is it, you know, young? Is it adult or, you know, young adult? You know, I don't think it's juvenile. Juveniles are small. And we'll never know who made it. Unless, I mean, I look, you know, my leisure time is researching these things. It's a hobby, right? I collect. I sell some. I just sold actually a split finger or a 1-inch web for the first time in a long time. It was a Diamond brand. Yeah, I can't keep them all. You know what I mean? But there is just nothing to be found on this. You see the condition. Leather interior. I even tried to condition this, and I mean, this looks like it's got these usually have piping of leather or canvas, and this is a canvas. It's all ratted up, but it's together. And this is so usually around 1915, you see the stitching at the lacing at the bottom, which allowed players to take insulation out or add it as they saw fit. So this could be 13. But again, I go back and forth. Is this young adult or is this adult? I mean, this could be an adult-sized glove. Look at those old photos. You didn't get those big clunky gloves until kind of like the late 20s, and, you know, by the 30s, you had those big clunking, you know, Charlie Brown gloves. But this is like a workman's glove almost with a 1-inch strap or, you know, web. And this, now let's talk about, I also want to talk about, you know, the leathers used in these gloves. You can find catalogs that talk about, if you can pinpoint the make and model of your glove, you can find it in an old-timey catalog, and it'll talk about what it's made out of. But this, who knows? This is probably, my guess is leather interior. This seems to be like a calfskin exterior. And I say that because it feels finer than a leather. Calfskin is what it is. It's leather from a young cow. It's more it's like softer, more supple, as opposed to like a rawhide, cowhide. You know what I mean? This is fine. This has got a finer grain to it. And again, you know, this is just one piece of leather, the 1-inch web. I always think it wouldn't take a lot of heat on a hardball to just break that through. I have only one glove where it's doubled over, and that seems adequate. But all the rest of them are just one pieces. It's just remarkable. It's got a slice in it. I can fix that up, but I don't, you know, it's all right. It looks cool. So that's that one. What's it worth? Yeah, I bought it for probably, I don't know, $28. I'm happy with it. I mean, you sell it to the right person. It could be worth $50. Could be worth $70. The more you know about it, the more it's worth. So, you know, that's that. What else we got? Let's do this. Bam! This is a nice glove. I love black colored gloves. They look just slick. They look sweet. This is my only Draper and Maynard D&M. This is that lucky dog, the dog logo right there. Iconic early 20th century American brand. Mid 19th century to early mid 20th century brand. This is great. I wish I said Baby Ruth right there. I can't tell what model this is. I need to give this thing a little bit more research. This is a great glove. I'm going to leave it the way it is. I just added, when I got it, it was pretty limp. I added a little bit of conditioner. It didn't need much. Excuse me. And it's my only D&M. There's hardcore D&M collectors that have a lot of Draper and Maynard relics in their collection. This is my only piece as of now. I want to get some more D&M. They're great. They have a different look and feel than your Reach and Spalding, which is the same maker. Spalding bought Reach a long time ago, but it just feels different. Different design, subtle but different design elements. Everything feels different about it. This one I think has been oiled a lot 100 years ago because it's heavy. Glove oil darkens and it adds a lot of weight to your glove. I don't use glove oil at all. I only use like a horse saddle conditioner, which is amazing. But this is heavy. It's a great shape though. It's didn't dry out. Inside's roached, but I'm gonna leave it the way it is. I like how you can see the interior. This has had a patch, like a repair. That's old repair, and this has got the old Draper and Maynard cloth trademark patch. That's seen better days, but it's hanging on. It's a survivor. This is like a mega dark olive, touching black, like a black olive. This is black olive. This is the name of my glove, black olive. I can't find a maker's mark. Adult size for sure. 1-inch web. Now Draper and Maynard's got a nice history. I even took some notes. They were founded in 1840 by Jason Draper. 1840. It was a glove factory. It was a tannery and a glove factory. So that's locked and loaded to become a baseball glove maker. You're got the leather and you're a glove maker already. So it was written in the stars. And then in 1875, Draper and John Maynard became business partners. And then in 1881, Draper and Maynard became Draper and Maynard Sporting Goods Company. So I guess that's when they, transitioned away from gloves to, like garment gloves for people to wear to deal with the winter, to a sporting good baseball, making baseball glove company. And then they were hit hard by the Depression, and there was a fire in 1911, if I can recall that off the top of my head. And then just to jump back to this is how everyone knows, like that is in the know knows these gloves. The lucky dog, super iconic. It's a bird. It was a bird dog of John Maynard's, named Nicodemus. So that's the famous bird dog on the D&M label. You can barely see it on the cloth patch, barely. But I think thankfully they put it on the button, because if I would have got this glove and that wasn't on the button, most buttons, you sometimes see the label, like a maker stamp, sometimes they're just blank. If that wasn't there, I'd be like, this has got to be a D&M, because I see legs, it's got to be the dog. Yeah, plus you can see D&M. But this is just thankfully there. And this old repairs adds, looks like old rubber cement right there. Some kind of old adhesive. I don't see stitching. I'm guessing like a super old-timey, primitive, quaint rubber cement to keep it kind of, flexible yet stuck. It's a thick leather. It's this could be a professional model, if I ever saw one. Again, but this is what always gets me. Like this is one ply, like a suede. This is leather. I don't think it's buck hide, like a buckskin. But again, a hard, even new, in 15. Let's say this is from, because I haven't pinpointed the model or I haven't pinpointed the model. So this could be 1915, could be 1919. But anyhow, even out of the box, I don't see how a hard-hit hardball, like some heat, is going to not break this. Just one ply. That must have been a super common thing. I don't know. Broken webbing? It's just like it's weird, quirky design of the baseball glove. It took a U-turn for like 5 years. And then again, there's always that, that side note with baseball gloves. This is a really important thing for people to realize and understand if you're collecting or you want to get into these collecting these old-timey gloves. Certain design features were carried over for a while, for years. So just because this is like 1915, right? Well, this could be 1920. Simply because it was a popular model, old guys liked this, they didn't want to move to the next webbing evolution. So that's, and then there's other thing you gotta be careful of. There's gloves from like the 1890s. Let me show you a quick example. Catcher's mitt. Sorry about that. With this is a quick side note. Like this catcher's mitt. Now, say this didn't have the lacing. It was just like stitched, right, all along the side. There was no lacing. That's how that's how the catcher's mitts in like the mid 1890s were made. But then in like the 1930s or even 40s, like some like cheap kid ones were made that same style. So if you found like a really cheap kid one that was beat to hell from 1940s with like no tag on it, no maker's mark, you might think, oh, this has got to be from like 1895, but it's not. So that's a precautionary note to collectors, because that can throw you off certain design features. So I've read that this lacing at the bottom began to be seen around 1915. So this glove, I guesstimate 1919, but this could be 1915, could be 1916. Until I find it in a catalog, you can't. It's an art, not a science. You know what I mean? But again, no structural damage on this dark olive. This is just a gorgeous mitt. I don't really put this one on and go out and play because the interior is roached, and I don't want to like tear it anymore. So this one's just more of a looker, and it looks good. D&M, big name in antique sporting goods. So that's that. What's next? Let's see what we got here. I should probably jump to this one. So this one, I had to include this because this is of the era. Though it's not a 1-inch, by 1915-ish, you started to see this, where manufacturers, I think they called this a lacing device. There was a funny name, like old-timey name for like this, lace, web, lacing device, I think. And it was just where they, in some ways, just snipped the 1-inch web, right? in the middle, and then just fold it over and side it to each side, right? And then just put a lace through, which, in my opinion, that's like the first time we see modern, mass-produced glove that almost resembles something of today. You know, where we move away from this flap, antiquated one-piece flap, to folded leather, lacing going through it. Though it's very simple and primitive. I mean, this, I think, is way more, for some reason, even though it's just thinner, but it's doubled up. I don't know. This just seems way, I don't know. But then again, I mean, well, if I think this is way more playable and usable, like this, assuming that's tied, why wouldn't I assume this? Because this is like just more of that. I don't know. There's way more give to this. I don't know. This just seems more familiar, I guess. But this could be from, and this one deserves more research as well. I always jump to my full webs with Glee, collecting Glee, and research those. And then my 1-inch, webs, and this guy gets kind of neglected sometimes, which is wrong. You know what I mean? So this is a brand that I can't decipher. I think I featured this glove before on my channel. This, I believe, is a thrift store find, like my oldest glove I ever found out in the wild. I think now this is a calfskin glove because it's finer. I don't think this is a horsehide. This feels like calfskin. Calfskin usually like kind of breaks like this a little bit. It gets flaky. So again, around 1915, we see the bottom lacing, which allowed players to unlace and add stuff. I think this one just broke. This has got like the leather just, split. They can be repaired, but I kind of like sometimes seeing the inside from a construction standpoint. This one, I need to figure out who this brand is. Again, calfskin. This could be a adult size or a young adult size. That's always the hard thing. And this has got like more of the Charlie Brown shape, right? It looks more of like a Bill Dokes modern as opposed to the more. This looks like a freaking, work. If this wasn't there, I'd be like, it's a workman's glove. Hallelujah. We're rich, but this is there, so we're not. We're not rich yet. You got to keep looking. The old ones were missing fingertips. They would cut them off, or they even had reinforced fingertips. But again, this is an earlier, in my opinion, or this could be a shoemaker. You know what I mean? You don't know. And they just had a garden glove as their model, and then added the flap. It's the mystery and allure of unmarked early 20th century baseball gloves. So back to this thing. We got more of a Charlie Brown shape. You know what I mean? It just looks more modern, looks more familiar in some regards. But this is a nice glove. I was thrilled to find this for, I think, probably like $4. This is like as late as I get as far as, with baseball gloves typically. When you get the lacing through. I don't go into the 40s. That's it. I cut off at 1920. I try to, and this could be 19. This is the hard one. This is the hardest kind of call, in my opinion, sometimes. This could be 1916 on a good day, or it could be 1925. I don't know. Until I figure out what that says. But the point is, and why I had to include this one is because around 1915, amongst the 1-inch webbing gloves, you started to see this. And again, it's, you can see it's pretty easy to make from a 1-inch web. So that's that. And then last but not least, you've seen this one before probably, this old honking flapping thing. I love this thing. This is right down the middle, 1915, if not a hair earlier. I mean, this has got all the design features you want in a 1-inch web, in my opinion. It's adult size. This is a huge glove. This is like XL. I have big hands. This thing is freaking huge. It's all, it's super flappy, which is great. It adds the character, just flapping around. It's been well played, dead ball era. This all tobacco spit and tractor grease and sassafras, all that crap in there. That's an honest to goodness 1-inch web. This could have been the glove used in my front yard when my house was built. I love how this leather gets just super, just soft. This is just like you're like a pigskin, new garden glove, just ultra soft and flexible. That's what it feels like right there. This has got to be calf skin. This leather interior, nice brass, unmarked button. It's seen a lot of wear. I love it. It's when this glove was new, it was a handsome glove. Again, this is the largest glove I have. This is XL or whatever. Structurally in pretty, someone took a bite right there, but in pretty good condition. I don't know. I don't see any. Is that an S right there? Oh wow. I'm starting to see, like, in certain light and angles, you can start seeing things, like text in the glove. So I was going to get to that. That kind of stole my thunder, but I don't know who made this glove. It's an unmarked maker. I think the tag fell off. Right, the tag was right there. My guess is, well, I was going to say Reach or Spalding, but I'm definitely going towards Spalding now, because this has the design elements of a Spalding or Reach. Probably more of a Spalding. Now, long story short, I talked about this in a prior video. Spalding, being the clever businessman he was, bought Reach, the company Reach. I forget the exact date. Probably late 19th century, I think. but he kept Reach as a separate company and continued to produce Spalding and Reach mitts together, right? And you could find design elements that, okay, you can just find, characteristics of Reach and Spaldings, such as what? This piping, leather piping. The big one for me is this used seams. I think these are called welted seams. In like old-timey catalogs, welted seams. And just how like this bulbous pinky, how it's like a bulbous, and it like it sticks out. It kind of has like a blimp shape. I don't know how to describe it, but this is like a. Where's my other one at? For reference, my other Spalding. It's got that really soft leather right there, just like this is just like so soft. This is butter soft, just like that. And this is not as bulbous, but where's my other one? This is an old Reach. It's got like a bulbous pinky. You know what I mean? Look how bulbous that is. That's ridiculous. This is not as bulbous as this, but this is way more beat up. But you see like the similarities? This is a Reach. This, I think, is a Spalding. I mean, this could be this one on a beat up day, right? I mean, this could be this one after getting the shit kicked out of it, right? I mean, it looks kind of the same, but just this is a half, this is a full web, this is a half. It could be cousins. But I think this is a Spalding now, because in the light I can see remnants of a red tag, which is, where's it at? I don't think I have a red tag. Nah, they're all faded. This is a red tag, but it's faded. Spalding's had a red tag for a hot minute. So, I mean, this, I don't know what to say about this one. I think it's a Spalding. I think it's an outfielder's glove, right? Because even today, you got, 12 and 3/4 inch outfielder's gloves that are really long. I wish that button had a maker's mark, but this is just, I don't really wear this one and play with this one because it's so just, it's so thin. I mean, this could have been a high-end model because it's fine, like leather, right? It's a big one. The S seam. This one's funny. I got this one on eBay probably 3 years ago, and it probably was cheap too. I mean under $40. So I think it's worth more than that. I gotta figure out what it is. But this thing's got probably like some of the most character out of all my gloves. I mean, it's just it stinks like old leather. It's just so got dead ball, you know, aesthetic. This is like right down the middle. This is like the mascot, or this is a iconic 1-inch webbing glove. I mean, this thing is awesome. Look at that spread, that old-timey spread, like a turkey, kind of like turkey tail or whatever you want to call it. It's just so this is on the early side of 1915. I mean, just from design features. I don't go out and have a catch with it because it's so thin, like right in here. I don't know if it doesn't look like it's been operated on. Sometimes guys will cut them open and pull out. No, this is all one piece. If you can see in there, into that world. Sometimes guys will cut them open before they had the stitching and remove stuff or add stuff. Like on this old one, this is a full web. See, they would cut it open and pull things out or add stuff. This and this are similar. So it makes me think, maybe like the old time guys, like the old guys, like the glove was more like these because it felt more like a workman's mitt. They thought all that padding was for wimps, right? Give me I don't know. Is that it? That's it. So there we have it. And so these are fun. These will keep you talking. In some ways, it's great to have the closure of knowing who made the glove from a collector's point of view, and from an antique, if you're going to sell these and deal these point of view. The more you know, the more money you get. But in some ways you can hit a wall. You just search the company all day long. You find the websites and the forums, catalogs, with the maker mark and this and that. But the unmarked ones sometimes will keep you talking because you're always speculating. Well, it could be this, or it could be that, and you're going to shift as you own a glove. Your opinion will probably shift, which is fun, which means you're doing your job as a collector and enthusiast in the hobby. It means you're learning about it. And it's okay to change your mind, right? Like this one, I'm thinking this is probably maybe an adult-sized glove, not a, young adult or a juvenile. So that's the fun of it, right? I hope you're having fun. And as always, thanks for checking in.